Tests from your spouse.
Your partner's trauma is a gift. The hokey pokey is messing you up.
She saw her touch my penis. My narcissistic behaviors. My managing severe narcissism.
Why are you afraid of rejection?
Tests from your spouse. Welcome to the Morrow Marriage podcast, guys, where we are real, raw, uncensored, and anointed.
Prayer 5.
All right, guys, I want to talk about tests from your spouse, and I'm deliberately saying from your spouse. Women get a bad rap for fitness tests, shit tests. It's when a woman tries to push a man. This is what's recognized in masculinity books. When a woman tries to push a man in order to find out if she can rely on him, if she can count on him, if he's trustworthy. Now, I've heard you speak a little bit about this to women. Why don't you go first?
Sure. Okay, I have to dig deep here because I do talk to the women about it, but you're catching me off guard a little bit here.
The simple thing that I recall was don't. If you're a woman and you're testing your husband, why are you not lifting your husband?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Right.
So if you know your husband has a weakness, let's say, so the last episode was on cheating. Let's say your husband has had a history of cheating and then you try to set him up. You're testing him. You're putting temptation in his face, whether I don't know what that would even look like really, but let's just use any example. If your husband has a weakness with women, if your husband has a problem with drugs or alcohol, and then you want to test your husband to see if he's going to pass the test for saying no to the drink, for saying no to the flirty woman at Starbucks.
This is a good example because I just saw a DM from a woman over the weekend that was saying that, and I knew it, and I went and I however she messaged him, and I caught him. Well, fuck, man.
Well, if your partner has a weakness, and it's not justifying a weakness for drugs, alcohol, women, any of those things. It doesn't justify the weakness. It's about, I'm speaking to the person that is testing. The other person needs help in that area. Certainly if it's cheating, then that person needs to just stop doing that. But there are other things that come into play with something that you'd be testing your partner. You might even be testing your partner to see if your partner will get angry. Maybe your partner said that he won't yell. And so you deliberately push his buttons to see if he's going to keep his word and not yell at you. Well, if you're pushing him to the point that he already has a problem with anger or yelling, and again, your partner has to deal with his anger. I'm pointing at you. He has to deal with his anger, his yelling, whatever issue it is. It's your responsibility to try to influence that change in the direction you want to go, not to prove that he can't do it.
That's right.
Are you really his partner if you're trying to prove that he can't do it and you're putting something in his path to make him stumble? That's not marriage.
No, that's not marriage at all.
He's going to stumble just fine on his own. He doesn't need you to help him stumble. He needs you to help hold him up. And this goes both ways.
This is just what we call games. Okay,
Yeah.
Now I understand. Let's use the example of the woman since the last episode was affairs, and we're talking about this woman who DM'd me. I understand the fear and the need to prove to yourself that that there's reliability, there's trust, that he's not going to betray you, that you're not going to have that hurt and that pain again. I understand. But then get the fuck out of the relationship if you're not going to lift and support, because if you don't want to move forward, that's why you blame. If you're going to say, I'm going to stick this out, I'm going to get through this thing, do everything in your power to lift your partner. And this is a spouse thing, guys, because there's just as many men that are pushing their wives' buttons too, or throwing bad shit in their face, or, won't support. The amount of, we saw this back when we owned the gym, the amount of women that were working their asses off to get their bodies.
Goodness.
And then the men would be
bring home pizza and chips and beer and try to tempt them. And of course, if you are on a weight loss journey, food is probably one of your issues. So if your husband brings food and expects you to just have the willpower when this is something new that you're learning, that's a form of a test. It's the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what you're testing. It's you are putting something in someone's way, whether or not you're deliberately trying to get them to fail or deliberately trying to test them. That's what you're doing. Either it's calculated or it's just plain mean.
Or I would say, sis, maybe you actually don't care. Okay, maybe it's, you don't even sometimes probably even realize you're just that selfish that you're bringing home that food or whatever, and that's a don't care. That's a why don't you just say I don't want to, and then why don't you just call your lawyer? You guys, we work really hard to focus on all of these things that have become normalized, and there's a flip side to this too. Okay, if you are being tested, we talked in the last episode about having a little argument on the weekend. Okay, I still have to make sure that my brain doesn't let me do what my brain fucking does, and in this case, when we talked and we repaired, I talked to Kathryn and she was like, I want you to know I'm your partner, that you can be a little more open about how you're feeling with X, Y, and Z. You can share. And in turn, I will feel X, Y, Z. And it was really great. You cried a little bit. You were excited. She thought it was like another level for us, right? And it was really a nice, beautiful invitation for me and have more of my growth. That is the exact opposite of a test. Okay? That is loving her partner and knowing what we could be like if it was another level. Okay? Now, those of you who are in that position, whether it's something like that with Kathryn or whether you are being tested, either way, I still have to look at it like, can I pass the test? Whether your partner's pushing your buttons, throwing the alcohol in front of your face, telling you you're lazy, whatever, I don't care. You still have to want more for yourself, and that means pass a test. Prove to yourself. It's not about what they say. For example, that woman with the DM, who DM'd me, well, you know, he's gonna find enough temptation on his own. And so when he fails, that you'll have your answer. But if you're putting trust in your partner, trying to be a partner, they should want to be better for themselves too, not want to hurt you. So who do you have to be so he doesn't want to hurt you? That he wants to be with you and love you. I always say this, nobody fucking awesome is getting screamed at, cheated on, shut down on. Nobody.
I think I was pretty awesome when I was being screamed at.
Well, but there was ways that we could have done things differently.
Yeah, definitely. I could have, and I've taken a lot of responsibility since then. I definitely enabled the screaming, and I antagonized.
So now you called the police. You know you
I can't even get the word
buttons.
out. Yeah, I pushed his buttons, and I antagonized him, and I pushed his buttons. And so I do think that there are extreme levels that you might actually be awesome and you're getting yelled at or you're getting cheated on because there's an issue there. Like, my husband has narcissism and extreme rage. Now, that's not what presents anymore because he's managing all of that, right, babe?
Yes.
But if your husband has issues like that, or there are some people that are, characterological cheaters, and it's been studied. And so you might be the most amazing person in the world, and if your husband or wife cheats on you, that actually isn't a reflection on you. It's just a small percentage.
That's just a very small percentage.
So there is a small percentage where, so don't take what I just said, like we talked about people twisting the podcast. Don't take what I just said and say, oh, there is a small percentage of people that are getting yelled at, even though they're perfect. I'm one of those perfect people. So my husband yelling at me has nothing to do with me. You might be one of those extreme cases, but it's very rare. Even in our case where it was extreme, I can take responsibility for how I could have changed things much earlier.
That's right. All right, guys.
Wait, we have to introduce this little baby alligator that's been chewing on my hand this whole time. So this is Elsie Rose. You guys have met all of our dogs before, except for Elsie Rose. Oh, now she's going to be shy. She's been sitting here chewing on my finger. Now, are you camera shy? She was seized in a hoarding case, and she was one of 29 dogs. We've had her for a couple months now. We took her in as a foster, and within 24 hours, I foster one.
Game over.
I foster one her. So we're in the house because our pool house, our studio is still flooded. So you'll see
it's not flooded. It's just
the ceiling flooded. Yeah, the ceiling flooded. So the ceiling is now on the floor. But
all right, guys.
Anyway,
see you next time.
See you.